What's up, my friends? I'm Stat. Welcome to the stream. We are doing our 5th streamer roundtable, and today we are discussing Fortnite and its impact on YouTube. I have a oh no, I hear an echo. No, I I have a special guest. His name is GameDojo. We're gonna get GameDojo in here. Hold on, GameDojo. Hi.
Hi. How you doing?
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, I suppose.
GameDojo is an amazing streamer on YouTube Gaming. One of the hardest working guys out there, and yeah, we're going to talk a bit about Fortnite. And I want to start off by saying that, like, first of all, I am personally happy for the success that Fortnite has had, especially, like, you know, Epic Games and all that. They have done something amazing by, like, pivoting the way they did from their PvE game to this game, Battle Royale. And it's just been amazing to see the success that that game has had. It's like a worldwide explosion, which is sick. Really cool. Happy for the YouTubers that have succeeded playing this game and have blown up their channels, and I think that that is also very impressive, you know. The thing is, there's like another side to the success of this game that I don't think people are paying attention to, and that is its impact on live streamers that don't want to play that game, or that game doesn't connect with their community or their demographics. And how much of an impact it has had on those streamers and content creators. And I wanted to get Dojo here to talk about this, because we've talked about this on our own in the past, and I wanted to just kind of like talk about it in public. So let me know what do you think? Like, am I on the right path with the thought that this game's success and the huge success for some people has caused serious trouble for others?
Well, of course, anything that explodes or is a fad, or anything that's massive in any sort of industry will cause ripples through other things that are unforeseen. And us in the center of the target, I think we're hit pretty hard.
Right. So the thing is, to me, it looks like, you know, YouTube doesn't necessarily see this as an issue. Like, YouTube looks at Fortnite and the success of Fortnite, and to them, it's huge views. It's, you know, lots of big money and all that stuff. And just everything is good for them, but they're missing the fact that, like, there's a lot of other things out there on YouTube that make streaming great that are being punished because of the success of this game. And, like, I've seen tons of people saying, "Oh, I got recommended this video," and I always say, like, I don't like this, because you can choose if you want YouTube to recommend it to you again, and they still get recommended these videos, and it's because it's so successful. It's like you can't escape this vacuum of Fortnite. And for me, I tried playing Fortnite in the beginning because I actually like Fortnite. Fortnite is a fun game and I enjoy it, but it doesn't click with, like, the more mature audience, in my opinion. And
well, I'm not sure if I can argue with mature or not mature. That's a little bit difficult to say, because there's lots of adults who play and enjoy the game, like, incredibly. I think it's a scalability issue. So you have, I've told this 100 times to other people, if you have 1 million people, or kids, like you'd say, search for Fortnite, and 5,000 adults that don't search for Fortnite, those 5,000 adults are going to get crushed by the system that is in the search of YouTube. If you have 1 million people to 5,000, YouTube sees the 5,000 as probably a statistical glitch, because they don't see it as anything different, like, demographically. They just see it as a tiny, minuscule amount of searching. Therefore, they think everyone wants Fortnite, not whatever those 5,000 people are doing.
Right. So, but are you saying those 5,000 people also are searching for Fortnite, or they're searching for something else?
They're probably searching for something else, but there is also adults, because you know, it's not just kids. It can't just be kids. Otherwise, there'll be absolutely no one making any money doing Fortnite, because, you know, kids don't have the cash. But there's people out there that are doing it and making plenty of money. But it's a small majority. Small minority that are adults, I would say. Too small to make up an entire population for everyone else to grapple onto.
So do you think the issue is that, like, but what is the main issue here? Is it, like, let's say the game that blew up wasn't Fortnite. Let's say it was a more mature game. Do you think that, like, that didn't appeal to kids? Do you think that's even possible? Like, is that even something that can happen on YouTube? Like,
that's a good question. I don't think it can happen, because adults are more tempered. They're not going to be as fanatical as kids. Kids get obsessed. We all know when kids want something, they want the same thing and want it every day forever. They don't need to have change. They don't need variety. They don't get tired of things. Remember when you were a kid, right? When you're 14, did you get tired of that Mario game that you played for days and days forever? No. you never let up. You'd scream and cry if they tried taking it away from you. Kids just have more of a linear thought pattern than adults do. So no, the fads come from that. Now, with that said, you do know YouTube has hype and they have fads and they have, you know, exploding. There was the reaction videos for a while, then it was prank videos for a while. Adults do get into the certain phases, but they don't last as long and they don't get so fanatic and so big. We're just seeing a completely different field here with this Fortnite crap.
Right. Well, but like the thing is, so when you look at streaming in general, streamers should be able to play different games and grow a community. And like, you should be able to go and play World of Warcraft and build a community of World of Warcraft on YouTube, because there are people searching World of Warcraft videos, you know, or there's a lot of other games that you could name. But the point is there just not enough eyeballs on YouTube in general? Or does, like you said, all of those huge numbers searching for Fortnite, everything else just gets swept under the rug as they think it's a glitch, like you mentioned? And
it's hard. Well, it's hard to say. So like, I would argue that it's mainly the fact that live is so tiny and it's such a tiny, small part of what YouTube is. The videos in general are still being recommended across the platform for other things that are not Fortnite. But YouTube gaming live is a subset of gaming, and a tiny baby subset. So you have like 1 out of every 100 videos is a live video. They're not going to recommend anything else but the Fortnite, because it's such a massively large amount of searchable things in gaming. That's the problem. If YouTube gaming was the size of VODs, we would see a little bit of a different platform going on here, but we don't. We're stuck in this pit, I would call it, because of the size of how much live is being recommended.
So let's say you're a streamer and you want to grow your channel and you've been doing well, and then this game comes out, Fortnite, but you don't want to play Fortnite because it doesn't click with your community, or it doesn't click with you in general. What do you do? Like, can you do anything to avoid having your channel destroyed? Or do you start playing Fortnite and sacrifice the community you just built over the last year or two to try and rebuild a new community of people that are different from your community? Because the thing is, these new people are going to eventually take over your community that you had. Because I personally think that if you have if you look at your demographics, you have an adult audience, and then you start playing a game that's for kids, that is going to be a serious clash in your chat room. Like, if you go to a Fortnite stream, you see these kids just like, show me the weapon shop, or show me item shop, or like, you know, making fun of you when you fail, or just being toxic in general. And more adult streams, you go in and it's more laid back and chill. And maybe it kind of represents the streamer a little bit too. Like, the streamer encourages a certain way, but still, I still think the younger they are, the more toxic they can be. And
that's why streamers have fallen in love with PUBG so much, because PUBG has become the strangest example of an adult game that got big. And so our chats went from Call of Duty, Grand Theft Autos, and all the kid game type of it was like mixed with toxicity and adults, to almost like a pure adult audience that was respectful, was donating, was supporting the stream, was becoming friends with everybody to a degree that we've never seen before. So we saw this amazing growth of just a great community because of the adultness of it, right? And then Fortnite comes in and does the absolute opposite. There's way more kids than there is than adults. So now you have the toxic, like you're talking about. And your question is, if you are a streamer, what do you do? Do you stick with what you're doing, or do you switch to Fortnite and recreate your community? That's up to.
Or do you start a new channel? So like, now think about that concept. How silly is that? That you're like, you literally have to start a new channel because the algorithm has you pegged, and you're basically trying to convince this computer to think differently of you. Yeah, instead of starting over and be like, oh, now it knows I'm a Fortnite channel from day one, you'll probably do well.
Probably. I mean, but then what's that doing well? What does doing well mean anymore?
I don't know.
Is it making? I mean, is it just having a lot of views? Is it having a lot of subscriptions? Is it
growing your channel? I guess growth, success, growth is success on YouTube in a lot of people's eyes. For myself, I agree with that, but I also think that when it comes to streaming, there's a community aspect of that YouTube doesn't even. It feels to me like YouTube doesn't pay attention to that. Like, if they looked at the chat and they looked at how many sponsors you have on your channel versus how many concurrents you have, or you know, how many super chats are sent, or how many people are talking, and how many things are not getting hidden and on toxic shit getting put in the chat. If they take into consideration that your community is positive, or that you have let's say a large sponsorship versus viewership, that means that you've cultivated a good community there. Not like, let's say you have massive concurrence, but such low sponsors, that could be like, you know, I feel like that doesn't get taken into consideration in the algorithm at all. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
And
well, I think it's hard to quantify community. It's something, it's almost like, it's like love. How do you quantify love? How do you describe feelings? It's not something a computer can design. Community is not something a computer can really understand. It can try with some metrics, but the metrics can also be skewed and it can be manipulated very easily. And that's probably the concern that they're going to have, because they don't know what to do with the information. And then, of course, there's all the other side of it. How many times
they have to figure it out with what they know already. It's like they do make trial and error as they go, right? I mean, right now, even with the stuff they're doing and basing it on, like if likes even matter, or if you know, like downvotes even matter. Does it, like, these are the things that they take into consideration or don't, but that's their decision and they learn from that, don't they?
Yes, except for right now it's a VOD world, right? So how do you right now they do
Little Evan, thank you for the $2.99 super chat, by the way. Sorry, go. That's gonna recommend my video now.
Do you yeah, well, it's a VOD world, so they actually do reward community, quote unquote. I'm doing air quotes, you can't see it because I'm not on live.
I did them for you.
Thank you. They do reward community on those worlds, because their idea of community is how many times is the subscriber watching that video on a daily basis. If a video is being put out there and they see a certain percentage of those subscribers are watching that video and watching a lot of it, they consider that community. So that's where that comes from. But that doesn't work with a live stream, because a live stream is a moving target. It's not a posted VOD that stays on the internet forever. It's a one-time snapshot. And since it's a new thing for YouTube, I don't think they've applied any sort of metrics to that concept like they do for VODs, for community, quote unquote. I don't know if they ever will. I just don't think they even talk about it. I mean, we have. But
we're talking about live gaming, though. We have to make sure that we specifically say live gaming, because if there's, let's say, a beauty channel and they decide to skip this line of Maybelline that came out and not, you know, do any videos on Maybelline, this newest line, they're not going to get punished. But if you on YouTube Live don't play the hottest game, you get punished. Like it's just, to me, it shouldn't be like you have to chase. Not everyone shouldn't have to play the same games. And just like in other, let's say, verticals of YouTube, of VOD sections even, you don't need to cover every single thing. You know, and that's kind of what makes it frustrating as a streamer, is like you're forced to chase these popular games instead of playing what your community likes. And, you know, yeah, you can keep your community together and keep streaming and your community is there, but you're not necessarily going to grow your channel.
Yeah, because quintessentially the problem is that we're not labeled as game streamers. We're labeled as Fortnite streamer, or we're labeled as COD streamer, or we're labeled as PUBG streamer. I made this analogy before. If we were makeup VOD people, we'd be considered only doing eyelashes, and we're only allowed to do eyelashes. If the second we do lipstick, we are no longer recommended for makeup. And YouTube needs to understand that we need to stop being recommended and sent to the algorithm as in we're playing the specific game, but more as we are gamers playing games for live enjoyment. And I don't know how that can be changed or switched. So that's where the verticality comes from. There's no way you can get out of that path that they've created for you if you're playing one game.
It's for me, like, it's frustrating. It's frustrating because I see a lot of smaller channels going and like they had, you know, good, even not even smaller channels, even some bigger channels. It's like they had a good thing going, but they noticed that they're not growing in terms of subscribers, you know, and then YouTube throws like purges at you. You don't even know where they're coming from. And it like, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh gosh, I got to change up what I'm doing because, you know, I'm not growing. But they still had that good community going on. But they're like, oh, I need to play this other game. So they go play Fortnite. Let's say they're a PUBG streamer and they play Fortnite. Their numbers are like decimated. And it makes like it almost feels like a negative impact on their channel. And I don't think that that's fair for a person to be like switch and get punished, you know? And it's basically YouTube saying, oh, this doesn't click with your channel. But then it's like, okay, so basically if you are unlucky and you did not cultivate the community that likes the newest game that's coming out in who knows when, you're stuck waiting for that next game to get any kind of growth on your channel. Yeah, and who knows when that next game is.
Yeah, and it is kind of like it's a catch-22. You want to play the Fortnite so you get the views, but it's not click with your channels, therefore you don't get the views, and then now you've gone back your old game and it's not doing anything because it's already kind of said, hey, you're not doing that well, so we'll put you back down a couple notches. I know I've experienced that. I know other people have experienced that. It's strange that you get, we say punished. I gotta be careful with that word. I don't like using that word because I don't think anyone out there is physically trying to punish anybody. They're just relying on an AI system that is super complex, more than even they will admit is more, and they don't even know. I mean, we've had conversations where it's so compartmentalized and so crazy that there's no one person at YouTube even knows how it works, but it's so complex of a robot mind that it does things to hurt the channels unintentionally, and that's the word punish is coming from, because of the games you choose, and it's infuriating.
Yeah, the AI doesn't care though, has no feelings. It's like it's not, it doesn't, it just does its thing. So the point is, like, I guess on YouTube, for example, because of the algorithm, something like this, I didn't really see it happen in the almost 3 years I've been doing this. I've never seen a game do this. Like, and in the past also, when there was hype games that came out, I don't know, like Mafia or other games that were popular, like Just Cause, Super Mario Maker, you could play them and get, if you started early and were playing them, you could actually get some good numbers on those games. But now it's like, even if you play new games, it doesn't matter. You don't get any kind of real viewership, not viewership, any kind of real growth, because it just feels different now than it did before. And
well, I would say that was the moment that was the jump the shark moment for the Fortnite, being a concern about the algorithm. It was like a fourth, fifth game was Far Cry 5, then it was God of War. These games came out, they were pretty hyped. People were really looking forward to them. They didn't have the early release like we have had a lot of issues with YouTube where people have games months before with alphas and betas, and then there's a post beta, there's a closed beta and open alpha, and then there's like the early release version, the stream. So like people were so saturated by the game, by the time it launched, no one cared anyways. But these games were specific. There was never any really early releases. So the game launched on that day. It was the first time it came out. Yep. Streamers tried streaming them, and they didn't get anything more than the normal viewers, their normal community that would come back. Versus back in the day, like 2 years ago, you'd play a new game, you're talking triple, quadruple your numbers in both subs, views, view time.
Yeah, you could grow if you got on early. You can grow and do well.
Even if there was a fad game like COD going on, those big November days when COD was crazy and taking up all the numbers, or GTA, or even Roblox, or whatever. Not Roblox, there's another game. But the point is that those new games had like a hype bubble that would create, and then they would go away and they disappeared, and that's how the normal flow was. That doesn't exist anymore. There's now just a staticness to every game that comes through on YouTube, and it's all going to be washed away by the Fortnite.
See, like, I think that it's cool to play, your main game, a game you love. Fortnite, PUBG, Call of Duty, whatever it is, Battlefield. These are games you love. But you should be able to, like, play a different game and not have it negatively affect your channel. It's almost like you play a different game and you get lower numbers, and then the next day it hurts. It almost like you can't get back to where you were. And I'm talking specifically about YouTube. It's like you cannot get back to where you were the day before. No, it feels that way.
I know it feels. I've had some conversations with people on YouTube, and they said it's not how it works. But it's always like arguing, like, okay, but we've seen it. So what is it going on? They can explain it, but there's no explanation. I wish there was a button that you could click on your channel that said, "Take me out of the algo. Don't take me out of all searches. Take me out." It's almost like an unlisted, but not unlisted, so that when you played, nothing you did affected anything in the ecosystem of YouTube, just so you could do whatever you wanted and then move back to what you were doing before. That would be a solution to all this, and it wouldn't be a negative to YouTube because they don't care if someone finds you or not.
Right. Well, I guess it's like an unlisted stream, but you're not going to get anything from that.
Well, unlisted is not quite, because you still have to have viewers. You want to have your subs find you. You want to have people stumble onto your channel, and you also want to have people, if they're looking, through categories of videos that are just listed in a numerical order, for instance, they would still find you. But I just don't. I'm talking about the algorithm, the numbers. Like, don't read how many views I got. Don't read how many subs I got during this. Don't read how many likes. All that. Just ignore all that stuff. It doesn't matter. Just throw that data to the trash and come back with a fresh day tomorrow with I'm doing the next day. Which in theory is why people are also switching to other platforms, because that's kind of what you can do. You can stream on Mixer any game you want, and it doesn't affect your YouTube algorithm. So it's maybe a smart chance or choice for the smaller channels in general to start streaming one game on YouTube and then play the other games on different platforms, just to get their kicks on different games without being affected by the system.
But to me, that sounds just so silly. I mean, not that I think that the platforms are great and there's nothing wrong with them. What I think is silly is that you can't, that the mentality is like, oh, start a new channel and only play one game on that next channel, or you need to have a new channel for every hype game that comes out. So let's say, you know, Fortnite comes out, new channel. Red Dead Redemption, new channel. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are
like a stat Fortnite, a stat COD,
yeah.
stat PUBG. I know it. Well, so the first person that I found that this is a problem with, and he found a solution. I remember him bitching about it on Twitter for about it. And he was very frustrated. Was Noah J456. He was, you know, he's COD zombie guy. He's got 3 million subs. He's going crazy. He was the first breakout hit, I think, of YouTube zombies genre, because his amazing ability to make tutorials as he was streaming live.
Yeah.
And he tried when other games started coming out. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't Fortnite, but it was maybe PUBG. I think it was actually was. It was one of those kind of games where it was just totally off the filter of the COD zombie world.
Mm-hmm.
And he got, first of all, half his chat hated him for it. They screamed at him, stopped playing, goes back, you know, and over a day and day. And then his numbers were just reduced to nothing. He used to stream to 12,000 people doing zombies. He went down to 1 to 2,000. And he noticed it was hurting his channel even when he went back to zombies. So what did he do? He created Noah AFK, away from keyboard. So a completely new channel, like you said, where he could play any game he wants and do whatever he wanted, and it didn't affect his main channel. And that was the first sign of something kind of, not say rotten, but something that wasn't right in YouTube, because that is not a system that is.
But they've been doing that from the beginning. I mean, most of like the old school YouTube gaming guys had a Minecraft only channel as well. It was like the same thing, because Minecraft kids only want to watch Minecraft. So as soon as you start peppering in something else, they're mad, and it hurts your algorithm. Like you said, as soon as people start ignoring your video, it hurts you in the future. And that's why I don't believe when someone says, oh, you could play a different game, and if you get less viewers, it shouldn't affect the, you know, the next day. But it's not true. Like, YouTube looks at it like, why did it get less viewers? He's doing something wrong. Something's wrong. Like, it can't be a positive.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, but then you got to look at from their sympathetic side of them. How would they recommend your channel if you're playing a crap load of games? What is the niche? What is the reason? You know, so I always tell this people, where YouTube's entire goal, I think their overarching mission statement is to connect viewers with content they want to see. So how do you do that with someone who's playing and doing everything? How do you connect them with something? Because no one's searching variety streaming.
I know. I don't know the answer, but I do believe that YouTube puts a cap on you if you do not perform well right away. If you do not perform well in the beginning of your stream, YouTube puts a limit to like how many viewers you can get. This is an assumption. I don't know if I just said I know, but I meant this is an assumption that they put like this limit. And so if you start playing let's say you start playing God of War, you're telling me that no one else is searching for God of War and they can recommend your video? Like, there's got to be other people who want to see God of War. But yeah, they aren't necessarily your subscribers, because your subscribers aren't interested in that. They want to watch you play PUBG or Fortnite. But there's got to be new people. But there's a limited amount of new people they'll send to you because of your poor, let's say, stats in the initial of your stream. So like, why would they send? Like, that's why you see some people at weird hours of the night, they'll be playing to, I don't know, 10 people, but they'll be number 1 in the directory. Why can't they get an influx of, you know, another 50 people? We know there's 50 other people that can be sent to the channel. It's like, but they don't. Why?
Well,
it isn't.
There might be an argument, because a long time ago we talked about how the notification system is kind of wonky, and it doesn't exactly work the way it wants to, because apparently they were built it on the back of a system that was intended for VOD, which means whenever the notification of a new video, it didn't matter if it happened the second you posted it, or if it was 20 minutes later, or 2 hours, or even 8 hours later. So the instantaneous need for a live stream to be notified to everybody isn't really available on YouTube because of the archaic system that they have built in. So I think that might be part of the problem. So you play God of War, you need to have everybody in the world that's searching for God of War be told that they have a live stream going on right now. But I think it's just incapable of the current system for them to do that. So they can't recommend it 8 hours later because you're not streaming anymore. So therefore they just cut it off as needs and say, okay, we're just not going to recommend it. We're just going to look for someone who is routinely looking for stat. And I think that might be the source of what's going on there. Yeah,
but still, there's no growth then to play those other games. And, you know, if they're only looking for me, or there's like a few trickle in other people. Another question is, like, if you're getting new viewership, how do you know they're just not, like, you know, logged out viewers that have like seen your stuff before, and they're like, they or not logged out, but they've never subscribed. They're considered new viewers, but they just never subbed to you. There's no, you know, to search your name, or they're there every day at the same time. It's frustrating for me because you don't necessarily know, and I see a lot of other channels kind of fighting with this issue. And one of the main concerns for me is when Fortnite dies, which will happen, Who knows when? You know, it will happen though. Like when I say die, I mean like it'll stick around just like Minecraft's sticking around, but it won't have the same power that it has right now. And as soon as that power starts to die down, I believe that other games will be able to, you know, come and take its place or at least compete with it, right? There's no competition for it right now. And so those Fortnite channels, you know, even if they got to 1 million subs, 2 million subs, doesn't matter. As soon as they don't have a Fortnite replacement, it's like, you know, what happens to those channels? Is it just like blow up a channel and then what happens? Like what happens when that game dies? Because like you said, they don't know how to recommend you. They know how to recommend a game. So it's like, how does a channel on YouTube Live live for a long time? It like, especially if the main audience is young and you want to branch out and you want to branch out to other games. You know, you have to stay and it almost becomes like a prison. You cannot get out of this vertical that you've gotten yourself into because you were so obsessed and loving the numbers, because obviously it's tough to stream. It's tough to get viewers. And when you do, you're not going to start doing something that looks bad, because the only thing you can see when you're streaming is how many people are watching you or like how many subscribers you got. But in the beginning, you don't know that it's actually more important to grow a community, because when that game dies, you need people to be there for you and not just the ones that are searching for the name of the game.
Yeah, I mean, well, the younger the audience, the harder it is to get them to transfer, and the community is less built if they're younger too. So like you see that with Call of Duty, I would think, and to lesser extent GTA. GTA seems to be like a weird mixture of pretty rebel-rousing people, but they're not necessarily kids. But COD is the best example. COD is very linear, just like Fortnite. And when you leave COD as a mainstream, you find yourself floating with no real backbone of a community, because they weren't there for you. They were there for the COD zombies, hence the Noah GA45 stuff. But the Fortnite, I'm worried it's going to be the same way, like you mentioned, where once they do evaporate as a game, those kids are not going to have the same interest in the streamer, because and that's why I think there's so many successful Fortnite streamers, because the kids don't care about who they're watching. They care about the wins and who's doing well. So they just sit at the top of YouTube gaming and just go around and around in circles with all the people at the top and see who's at the point of winning at that point. Watch them, see how they're doing. They win, cool. They died, oh, I'm going to go to another stream. And they just do that all the time, constantly, 24 hours a day, millions of kids throughout the entire country. And so it looks like a massive number of views and huge subs, but really it's just like it's like a la carte to watch someone win a game, not actual community and also culture, which is something we don't talk much about. What is streaming culture and the daily activities of streamers and interaction with their community? And that's just, it evaporates with Fortnite and kid games like that.
So you're right, and it's part of the problem that exists. And I think that if we want to talk about some sort of solution, some sort of way that this can be avoided and you can actually have people find what they want to see and not just be thrown shit in their face, not like actual shit, but like thumbnails basically thrown to them and say, like, you know, click this. I personally think that the concept of YouTube gaming, a landing page, is a good idea. Okay, it's a good idea, but unfortunately not enough people go to YouTube gaming to actually impact the top streamer on whatever game it is. It's more from the algorithm, and most views do not come from YouTube gaming. So there should be a landing page where people can go to and they want to go to, because it's part of what streaming on YouTube should be. Is like, it shouldn't just be solely based on the algorithm. And someone brought it up in chat, I've talked about this before, I really think that there should be a hybrid of the two, because only algorithm, basically this is worst case scenario for people who don't want to play Fortnite. And that's like a valid choice to make. But by making that choice, they are stunting the growth of their channel, most likely.
Now, part of the argument would be someone say, for instance, like, okay, well, Fortnite's got, you know, everyone loves Fortnite. It's 90%, you know, 100%.
What did you say? What did you say? Everyone loves Fortnite?
Well, you loved it, but you don't love what it's doing to YouTube.
I'm just kidding.
What I'm saying is, if Fortnite's got so many searches, if there's so many people playing it, if some people want to watch it, there's a huge, gigantic population of people wanting to play this game, watch this game, whatever. Why is it a problem that it's taking over everyone's need to play the game? My argument would be, if that was true and 100% true, then you would see that in Mixer and you would see that in Twitch. What we see over there is Fortnite's bigger than some games, but it depends on who's playing the game. If Shroud's not playing Fortnite that day, or Ninja's not playing that game, they're playing something else. Suddenly, Fortnite's not number 1. Fortnite's number 4, 5, 6 in the numbers of viewers. It's not necessarily the game that's been exploding. It's just YouTube and Fortnite is some sort of toxic mixture that has created a sort of.
That's the algorithm, though.
That's what I'm thinking. I think the assumption is that it's just Fortnite being so big is why we've seen this. But I think it's a marrying up with something that may be seen as a fault in the system of YouTube that no one's really noticed or even really examined, because they've assumed it worked for everything else. Why wouldn't it work for this? When it's really, I think it's breaking something on a fundamental level that we don't know about.
So you're saying that it's a problem, but if the problem is that YouTube doesn't see it as a problem, YouTube sees it as amazing, and that is because YouTube is looking at it from an analytical standpoint. And they have more views and probably more subs and more everything than they've had in the past year, you know, and since Fortnite came out. And so to them, it's like, wow, you know, whatever algorithm change we did, whatever something else we did.
People to create an interest profile like some of the dating websites do to allow you to cater to what the viewer wants to see.
Hey, Ellie, $20 tip says that you should be able to make a profile like a dating website so you can make what you're interested in. Which is like sort of interesting because, okay, we're going to come back to that. Thank you so much, dude, for that. I appreciate you. Guys, hashtag up for Happy Kelly. Okay, what was I saying? I was saying that, I don't remember. What was I saying? Wait.
I want to talk about the G Philly thing. It's a good idea, actually.
Okay, we were talking about, working as planned. Oh, yeah, so YouTube thinks it's working as it should be. And that's the problem is that, you know, on the overall, from a from you step behind and YouTube looks at it, they are happy with the results. And the unfortunate thing is they are building up channels that I feel like are doomed to fail in the future because they aren't building communities. They're building Fortnite channels. And like, not that.
That's like, great way of examples of, you know what, great way you could create a great amount of watch times on YouTube. How about go to a Japanese forest, suicide forest, and take a video of some guy's dead body? That increases watch time pretty good. Because it increases, no, I'm saying just because it increases watch time, just because it improves a number statistic doesn't mean it's right. And there needs to be a check and balance and understanding of what that means. Because you can't just assume that everything is good just because the numbers are higher than it was before. And I see that's kind of the problem, is that the Fortnite, like you said, is going to create a future problem where all the people who don't want to play Fortnite, don't want to be a part of the Fortnite community, don't want to be part of that whole stuff there. Yes, I went there, Masters. So don't want to be part of that lifestyle. Will leave the platform because they can't make a living. They can't.
But bro, what about the fucking meteor? The meteor is coming. Are you kidding me? The meteor is the same thing. It's clickbait. It's all clickbait. It's like this thing has been fucking coming for how long? How long has the meteor been coming? It's the same thing. It's like they promote channels that clickbait. It is how it works. And like it's all, and like every time I wake up in the morning and I turn on my YouTube gaming and there's meteors, and I'm just like, man, like it's crazy. And that's what you're saying is like, you talk about that, you know, Logan Paul's stuff, you know, it's not.
What Logan Paul stuff? What are you talking about? What? Who's Logan Paul?
You brought this up. But basically, you know, him doing these overly crazy things to get viewership is part, like, obviously going that far is wrong, but YouTube is still based on that. Like, if you look at vlog channels, it's like, if you don't have something cool that happened that day, no one's gonna click on your video. It's like, you have to have something that you did that's cool, or you have to do something that's fucked up, or you have to do something that's crazy, you have to do something wild, something that, like, it makes people uncomfortable. Why do you think those pranks things were doing so well? Or like people doing those weird interviews on the boardwalks and stuff. It's like these things are what people want to see because it's super strange and super awkward. And it's clickbait, you know, because a lot of times they don't even do anything that they said. If you look at a lot of the VOD channels of this game, there's a lot of people putting out titles and it has nothing to do with what they are doing in the video. And people don't care. They stay because it's Fortnite. And like I said, they're children, so they just like, it's Fortnite's playing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, ultimately, the original conversation was that if, YouTube doesn't care if it's okay because they're getting watch time, they're getting views. And I just think that's an incredibly dangerous way of approaching something as a success, because once you consider that the success, then anything can be a success if it's clickbaity or if it's racy or scary or dangerous, because people or humans are really just animals, or we want to see those horrible things that we don't necessarily want to see. So you can't metric, because they don't metric that. They don't metric those horrible events with huge views as suddenly a success. But since it's a video game and it's Fortnite, they see it as it's G-rated, therefore there's no damage here. There's just good views. But there's more to it. It needs to be a better analysis.
There's more. Well, maybe for VOD it doesn't matter, but I don't think that you can put VOD and live streaming together. I think this is what caused this explosion and what caused this negative thing, is that they treat live like VOD, and live should have other metrics taken into consideration for what is a good live stream or what is a real community. And they have information. They can get information about what is a good community. It is possible. Like, what if when you went live with a game that isn't in YouTube's mind, they're like, this is not in your vertical, but you stepped outside your vertical and you still got these numbers? Wow, you actually have people who care about not just the game, but you. Maybe we should, instead of punishing you, oh yeah, you're not allowed to say punish, instead of doing something negative towards your stream, when you play a game that isn't the game you're in your vertical, oh, maybe we should give you something good, because you have a community that's following you around to do other shit that isn't just the same thing you've been doing every day. And I feel like there's ways to take the information and look at it a different way, as opposed to just saying like, oh, the people aren't there? Bad. Shit stream.
Well, so a little tip to anyone who's out there who's a streamer who wants to find something next big new. We can't do it right now because of Fortnite, but one of the little tips I found, and this is, like you said, it's all driven by VOD. The way you can find how if a live stream does well is how is VOD doing. If you can find a VOD on a game getting hype, that's when the streaming will work, because I think that's where live recommendations are really coming from. If VOD is getting a lot of search, a lot of views, a lot of view time, a lot of watch time, that's what's driving people to the live streams. And right now, the VODs of Fortnite are off the hook. Was it Fwiz, or was it who was it that actually posted on YouTube or Twitter about the number of videos on YouTube in like one 24-hour period or 1 month for Fortnite eclipsed every video or something of Minecraft or something in the same amount of period, or overall, I can't remember. It was a severely large amount. Yeah, it was a massive number. So VOD is almost like a telling stone, to be dorky, about what's going to happen on live. And I don't think that should be happening. I don't think VOD should ever affect live. I don't think anything VOD is watched, searched, or viewed should ever affect live, because live is an experience. VOD is a consumption. And we've never, I think ultimately the only solution would ever be for YouTube to finally realize that and come up with a different way of approaching live, like we said before. Is it going to happen though?
No idea.
My pessimism starting to grow would say that there's no way in hell it'll happen, because VOD is king and VOD will always be king. In order for them to actually change live as a different entity, it would actually have to be separate from VOD. It would have to be a different website with a different, you know,
oh, you mean like YouTube gaming?
Like, what do you mean called YouTube anymore? They would actually, like, Mixer was used to. What was Mixer before? Was anyone remember anymore? What's the?
I remember.
Right? Bing or Bling or what the hell? What was the first name?
Beam.
Beam. That's right. Used to be Beam, right? Nobody remembers that. Beam turned to Mixer when Microsoft bought them. Same idea. YouTube would be great if they just sold off that section. Still used maybe the algorithm, maybe still use some of the searchability, but for the most part, separate it from its own little bubble and see where that would go, like a subsidiary. Yeah, right, Kristen. But I don't know.
My thought is that, okay, before I go, okay, wait, just want to say something. I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous of these successful Fortnite streamers. I'm not jealous of these successful VOD channels and successful videos and all this stuff and people who have been blowing up their channels. I'm not jealous. I'm not envious. It is not about that. I actually am worried for these people, because I've seen it happen with a ton of channels, like especially with Call of Duty channels. You see Call of Duty channels with 1 million subscribers, but then no one watches their stuff anymore. And it's because they never had a community. They never had that concept. And I think that a lot of people get into live streaming and they don't even know like the concept of community. Like, no offense to them, because it's literally it's strange. It's not like when I first started streaming, I didn't really know what community was. I was all about like, oh, just play the newest game. Whatever has the best concurrence, I'll play that game. And then I started playing games that felt like the community was building on it, and I enjoyed that more than chasing after numbers. And that is when I started to feel like getting more out of live streaming, having more fun with live streaming, and being able to do more things, and not being felt like you're getting kept in some sort of a cage, you know?
Yeah,
And,
I mean, honestly, I don't know if anyone would actually accuse of being jealous, because I don't think that's actually never even crossed my mind. I don't really consider it jealousy, because I'm
just talking about people who are watching the video.
Okay, I know. Everyone is. I suppose everyone has been a streamer, has someone that's bigger than them. There's no one guy who's at the top. We like to pretend there is, but there isn't. I mean, the guys that are the biggest usually come in are actually VOD guys, right? So there's always someone bigger, better, doing something more amazing. And on YouTube, the first rule you do when you do on YouTube is not to be jealous of other people's success, because the second you do that, you've already set yourself up to fail. So jealousy is not the issue. What is like, to extend on your idea, the fear of them failing because of the game, but also, what are the repercussions of this system? What happens to all the streamers that don't find success in Fortnite, but also don't find success in anything else because there's nothing else going on? They're going to leave the platform. And I'm worried, my personal worry is that once Fortnite does die, and it will, like you said, and even if those big channels don't die and they're still kind of struggling doing their own thing, suddenly YouTube is a vacuum of good content. There's no more good streamers. There's no more good community amongst the streamers, because they've had to find somewhere else to go because they're being crushed under the foot of Fortnite. I'm seeing it daily. I mean, I've seen so many streamers leave YouTube in just the past month because of what this is doing to them in general. And I don't like that vibe. I don't like the idea that they have to leave a platform because one game isn't going to click with them.
So someone in the chat is saying that if you're not going to play the most popular game, you're not going to grow your channel. And in reality, like, listen, it's not like there are trends. And there are things that you should jump on trends, but they gotta click with your channel. You cannot, like, basically what I was doing before was switching between games, and the community every time dispersed. And I had to rebuild a community based on the game, And then I got to a point where I was like, you know what? Instead of basing it on a game, I would base it on like a community, a laid back community, like No Man's Sky community, Battlefield 1 community. Like the opposite of Call of Duty, the opposite of Minecraft, the opposite of Agario, the opposite of Fortnite. And that community is loyal. That community is great. But the thing is, until a game comes out that's hugely successful, that appeals to that community, the people who have communities that are not necessarily all children are stuck in a spot where they either destroy their community to play the new game, start a new channel and only play that game, or basically suck it up until something comes out. And I don't think that either of those choices are right, because there are viewership for those other games. They do exist. They just don't get sent to them anymore. And I think that's because of the Fortnite phenomenon.
Well, the argument would be that it's not necessarily the hype is bad. Yeah, hype always has to be there because it's about excitement and driving a force of entertainment. It works in every single field of entertainment. The issue isn't necessarily if hype's bad. It's there's absolutely nothing else but hype. It's almost 100% everything that's driving the system right now. Like you said, like there's people in the chat saying, I watch stat if he's playing solitaire. How do you metric that? How do you get people
Spider solitaire, yo?
Like, how do you find the people who would watch anybody play anything if they connected personality-wise? What is the metrics there? How do you search for that? How do you recommend that? I think YouTube's always struggled with that.
I don't know. But look at real sentences in the chat room instead of hi. Like, look at, I don't know. They can look at sentence structure. They can look at the, like,
you're right.
What are they saying? They're not just saying, hi, shout me out. Hi, fucking V-Bucks. They're saying, like, hi, how's it going? How's your day? And they're saying hello to other people. Interaction. They're tagging other people. If you look at some of these other channels where there's like Fortnite, huge Fortnite channels, they never talk. The chat doesn't talk to each other. It doesn't look like they talk to each other.
I like that idea. I like that. That'd be a fun metric to recommend, right? So like, is to see how many times someone says hello to another person in stream, not you, because that could be broken. You can just do a bot. You can just do a robot. You can create fake things, but talking to each other is something a little more complex. And how many times they talk in a stream, and how many times they do it in a week, in a month, and they keep coming back, and then use that metric as something to say, okay, well, this guy's got a community. So if someone also is in a different stream with a different game in a different world, and they're talking a lot and they're amongst each other, that means they like communities. So there are those people are talking, these people are talking. Let's get these two huge groups together by recommending each other's streams like a crap load to each other. and see what happens. If they don't go to that stream and they don't stay there, that was a bad recommendation. Let's stop recommending that channel to that guy or even that community. But if it clicks, then guess what? You just took two communities that now get sucked together as one large community, benefiting both channels instantly.
But this is just one example. One example. I just literally came up with that right now. So like, I don't know if that is something that would work. I don't know if it would be a positive or negative effect on live streams, but I truly believe that looking at just basic numbers is not how you can judge what a good streamer is or what a good stream is. It's impossible. Like watch duration and the other metrics that they judge, they can't be the only things that decide what a good stream is. And you know, for me, like I'm not complaining about my channel because I'm in a good place and I'm happy. But like there's obviously there could be more, and I'm complaining more about this because it just feels like there's something missing. There's something that is wrong, and well, it's been feeling like that for a long time, like the last, I don't know, since Fortnite came out, basically.
It's Fortnite, but like you said, we've been doing this for 3 years straight, every day. And when you do something for every day for 3 years, you get a vibe, a feel, a sense. So like I tell this story all the time that I was a guitar player for 15 years, and it taught me something kind of weird and spiritual, that you really do feel energy when you're entertaining and you are performing in front of somebody. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you can feel it. It's a real thing. People can, it's palpable. And that is the experience we're learning for 3 years, is we feel that energy. And when the second Fortnite started to break things, there was that energy change. It felt colder. It didn't feel as lively, as things weren't popping as much. There wasn't as much new influx of energy. It was like the same energy every single stream, and that's our community. Not that it's a bad thing, but like I said, it's the same energy, which means we're not seeing something happening. Something has changed, and it's not in a good way. So that's where this stuff comes from. But
so how do you go about like this type of change? Like, is there something that can be done? Is there, if they're going to stick with algorithm only, is there a way that it could avoid this type of thing? And or do they even want to avoid this type of thing? Do they even care? And is it even on their minds? Does anyone at YouTube right now think that Fortnite has a bad impact on YouTube game live overall?
No, no, I would say no, because honestly,
Fortnite. Julie, he says, Julie Jewel says Fortnite has ruined my life.
that went to 0 to 100 quick. The ultimate thing is, to be a little more pessimistic, as everyone knows, I mean, okay, these YouTuber VOD guys, they do kind of like do doom and gloom every time they talk about stuff. But unfortunately, one of the casualties of the ad revenue thing, and also some things, the declaration of a blacklisting, is DeFranco. He's posted a video saying his channel is going to pretty much be turned off soon because he can't afford to keep going financially, and because they're stopping people from seeing his channel. And when I see something like that, where someone's a stand-up character in the VOD community, where people are really fans of what he's doing more of news stuff. It's not the sensational, it's not toxic. When he does something and his channel's hurt by something that they have done, and they don't comment on it, they don't react to it, they don't improve the system for that, why would they care about a streamer with 100,000 subs or 200,000 subs, and next to a guy who's got 1 million subs playing Fortnite? They don't need to care, because like you said, the views and the watch time is strong, and they can easily shrug what we're saying off as whining, jealous people who don't get what we want. And it's no reason for them to change, because they don't want to change for the small guy, because then they could hurt the big guy. How do you keep the big guys big and then help the small guys? And I don't think they need to do that, because again, they're not going to help the small guy. Why? What's the benefit?
Well, the thing is, like, you're talking like, it's just so funny because these people are big because of this game. They're big because of the algorithm. It's not necessarily that, like, it is the people that have succeeded, like, you know, they need to build a community if they want to keep going afterwards. And like, there's got to be a stat of like how many channels blew up on Call of Duty are now completely dead.
Well, define dead. I mean, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Do they keep that kind of data?
I don't know, but I don't know. But I'm saying, like, the point is, there's got to be something like, and a lot of these Call of Duty channels that weren't doing well, all of a sudden are blowing up again on Fortnite because it's literally the same audience. And so it's good for them. And I'm like I said, I'm happy for these people who are succeeding. But I don't think that it should be a one-way ticket to succeeding on YouTube. Like, if you start a new channel today and you don't start Fortnite as your channel, you will be like at a huge disadvantage. Huge disadvantage.
Yeah, and another way you can always metric to see if the game is because of community or because of the game itself is what is the driving force of making people watch? Is it because the game is fun and the streamer's fun, or because they're winning and they're MLG? I don't know of any Fortnite streamer that's doing well that doesn't win a lot. And that is another direct link to the COD idea. Like the people who got big on COD were MLG. They could wreck people. Same on CSGO. Everything that was competitive, it's how they won. If they won every single game, they got big. But now because the exponential fad of Fortnite, it's just making channels ginormous. And unfortunately, that's not. So yeah, even if you start a stream today and you start with Fortnite, that's still not a guarantee for win, because you've got to be good at the game. You've got to win, because the kids are going to care about two things. What are the two things, Stat, they say in the chat when you play Fortnite?
How many wins today?
Yep.
And show me your stats.
Something like that. Or mine always is just it's either what's your kill death ratio and or what's
stats. Stats.
Yeah. Because that's all they care about. They're not caring about how your day is. Who are you? How you doing? What's this channel? It's not those questions. And that's so yeah. If you start a stream, you start a new stream or start a channel, it's Fortnite's the thing you got to do, but also you've got to be good at the game, which is a strange thing. It's a very, very, very narrow path for success on a platform, and that's no way to build a platform, because then, like you said, the game fails. Now you have nobody left to watch.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, is that they're dealing with the now and not thinking about the future, and it's kind of a scary thought, you know. And yes, you know, Fortnite's a phenomenon. People like sports players, like huge athletes are playing these games. Huge, like, you know, famous people are playing this game, and it's just doing so well that it's amazing for YouTube and for the bottom line. But Fortnite channels aren't the only thing that exists, and that's what I'm just trying to get at, is they're not the only thing that exists. It shouldn't be a one-way ticket, you know, or it shouldn't be a huge negative to you if you don't follow it. You like, the problem is that if there's a slow time for games, there's really no way to grow a channel, and it's frustrating to see it, and just to be like in that situation where you're literally at a loss for what you could do, and there's nothing that YouTube can necessarily say to you, and they want and like I said, it's like just waiting it out, and I just don't think that's necessarily the right way to go about it, because if that was the case, then, you know, at least there's not enough, like I said, there's not enough features, honestly, on YouTube for those times where it's quiet, right? There's not enough community building features for when there's the slow time in between hype games, or even for these Fortnite streamers who you want to build community. There's not enough features to build the community, which is why the community maybe falls apart once the game dies off, because there's not enough community building features around.
So ultimately, the question is, did Fortnite ruin YouTube? No. What ruined YouTube is the lack of community features and community-driven algorithmic systems. Fortnite hype and Fortnite, what it would do would be fine if you had a back end of support for people who don't play it, that worry more about something about community and fun and enjoyment of what it means to be a variety streamer. That has been missing since day one. And if that never comes to YouTube, I don't think this will survive as a live platform for the longevity.
Yeah, or it'll just be live as a feature.
Well,
and not the mainstay.
I think,
well, that's what it is. It's a feature for VOD channels.
Yeah, it's like we are stuck in a small subset of a subset of a subset, and hoping that it's actually the primary system, and that may never come to us because of that thought pattern that it's a feature. If it's a feature, yeah, we're doomed.
Well, I know you have your own stream to get to. I really appreciate you coming and ranting with me here, and it's been a lot of fun. I honestly, the time just flew by there, and you know, again, I think that these conversations should be had, and I don't want people in the chat to go and think that like it's like this. It's not like a cry. It's not some sort of like, it's not even like a demand or anything. It's just opening conversation about what it feels like or what it looks like from some, you know, people who have been on the platform from the beginning, and how the changes and the evolution of the platform have you know, positively and negatively affected it as a whole. And not like, oh, we hate, you know, because I don't hate Fortnite, and I don't like. There's nothing there that's negative inside me towards that game. It's just that there's got to be multiple paths, you know, that you could take, and sometimes it feels like it's not clear. It's not clear, and the only clear path seems like Fortnite, because literally everyone is playing it. And if you go to the live and you go scroll down, it's all Fortnite. The top like 9 of 10 are like usually Fortnite.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm gonna go ahead and stream non-Fortnite and fill out the numbers, but I appreciate your time.
Good luck, bro.
Bye everybody.
See ya. So yeah, that's GameDojo, guys. If you haven't checked out GameDojo, make sure to go check him out. He's an awesome streamer, really cool dude, knowledgeable, and a good friend of mine. We're gonna go jump into the sponsor chat now, and if you guys want to come, you know, say some things about Fortnite, or the concept of how the algorithm is being affected by Fortnite and things like that, you guys are more than welcome to jump into the sponsor chat. Come say hello and let me know what you guys think. We're gonna go in there. We're gonna be in there for about 10 or 15 minutes, and yeah, I'm interested to hear what you guys think, and if you have any questions or comments yourself. So I'm gonna go in there right now. And if you're not a sponsor, make sure to sync up your sponsorship. Oh yeah, and thank you, Julie Jules, for sponsoring the beard as well. But you know, we were talking and I just didn't have a chance to shout it out. But thank you, dude. All right. Hi everyone.
Hello.
How's everyone doing?
A stream.
You like that?
That was awesome.
So we're still going, and I wanted to come into here and see what your perspectives are. Some of your streamers, some of you are not streamers, and I'm curious, like, the perspective of like streamers versus viewers, and what you guys think about the whole Fortnite craze and how it's affecting YouTube, and if there's like the positive and negatives that you guys have seen. So anyone could step up and say, just introduce yourself first.
I mean, I would love to talk. My name's Stiller Will. You guys probably know me. I've been talking in the chat about this. I started as a Fortnite streamer. I did it for like a month and a half, 2 months. Once PUBG came out for Xbox, I transitioned to that. Did a lot of other things. I saw a lot of growth. I got to this point because of Fortnite, and it's a beautiful thing. But in the same breath, how do you progress in getting to where you want to be as a streamer, or as, you know, like you said before, growing your channel if you don't play Fortnite?
Right.
Once you start playing other games, Escape from Tarkov, Sea of Thieves, you know, all that kind of stuff. How do you, the YouTube algorithm punishes you for doing that, and it brings you down the recommended list, and it doesn't recommend you as often as it should. So it's very tricky, and I want to ask you, Stat, and others, how do you grow as a channel right now when you don't play Fortnite every day?
What did you say? Say that again. Or the rooster was yelling in my ear.
How do you the rooster? How do you grow as a channel, or you know, progress as a streaming channel, YouTube gaming, if you don't play Fortnite every single day?
It's very difficult. I mean, I think it's very difficult, and it is possible. I think it is possible, and you know, there definitely are exceptions to the rule. Like, the problem is there's so many successful Fortnite streamers compared to the one-offs of like other niche markets, right? Let's say the Nintendo market, or the other markets that aren't necessarily PUBG or other battle royale. Like, there's survival, there's, you know, a lot of other things that people play and do well. But in terms of streaming only, I feel like I haven't seen that many streaming only successes that aren't attributed to anything but Fortnite recently. And correct me if I'm wrong if they exist, but like, we're talking like comparatively success. We're talking like, you know, Fortnite's seen, you know, 1 to a million, or let's say 200,000 or 300,000 to 2 million in like, you know, a couple months. Like, that's not comparable to someone who goes from, you know, 10,000 to 50,000. So it's like,
I was looking at growth from Fortnite streamers, and we're talking about the top ones, 10, 11, 15,000 subscribers a single day.
Yeah.
To, comparatively speaking, to top PUBG streamers or top, you know, Rainbow Six streamers who struggle to get couple hundred. I mean, that ratio right there is crazy. That is minuscule of percentages compared to what you used to see before. I mean, the Fortnite streamers are blowing up on a minute-by-minute basis, as opposed to maybe you're lucky to get a 5, subs every hour if you're a PUBG streamer. Big
Bro,
time.
that's the thing is like, the thing is, so Clintus in this chat mentions that if the people aren't searching for it, they're just going to stumble upon it because they're not necessarily looking for live streams. And the thing is, though, there are people who like PUBG. There are people who are logged in right now who like PUBG, but the #1 guy on PUBG on YouTube doesn't have huge numbers. It's like they just don't get, there's no trickle down, there's no benefit to being #1, and that's because like there's no homepage where people can literally go and browse, and it's become more on YouTube. It just feels like it's more about the game and less about the streamer, versus on other platforms where it's more about the streamer and less about the game.
Agreed. 100%.
Anyone else have anything they want to add, or any experiences that you've seen, or things you've been through, or even as a viewer? It doesn't have to be a streamer. Anyone
I'd like
could
to talk about it from a viewer side, Boyd.
Sure. You want to
Yeah,
introduce
my name's
yourself?
Austin. I'm in a lot of the chats and streams that people run. One of the things as a viewer that I've seen a lot is that if you do not stream the hype game, your channel suffers. And Stat, I don't want to speak for you on this, but I've seen your channel do the same thing. I remember back when you were streaming Call of Duty, and when you switched to Battlefield and you blew up, for lack of a better term. And now you're playing PUBG, you're playing all these night streams, you're playing these games that aren't Fortnite, and I've seen your channel suffer. I've seen a lot of people's channels suffer. I've seen people that stagnate at under 10,000 views when these people start streaming Fortnite right off the bat, and they instantly grow to 50,000 subscribers and have a constant 1.5K stream. I don't think that the YouTube algorithm is broken. I think that it's the hype. And that terrifies me, because that means that people are going to start building channels solely around what the hype game is. You're not going to have a consistent community on a lot of these newer people, because they're going to build up and go, oh, hey, I was playing Fortnite, but I want to play PUBG 2.0. I want to play the new Halo game. I want to do this, but they're not going to have the same amount of viewers as they originally would. So their channel suffers, and then that discourages people from streaming on YouTube, which thus kills the YouTube streaming base. Because you have to have consistent viewers for the original platform to still think it's a viable way to make money off of it.
Right. And well, the thing is that you said you don't think it's the algorithm that's broken, it's the hype. But that hype is overshadowing anything else. And like, yeah, my channel, I mean, if you want to use my channel as an example, it's fine. But like, for me, the way that I see it is that I personally have more fun now. I enjoy what I'm doing more now. And I feel like it's just part of the fact that right now, YouTube is, for me, it's all about community. It's all about the community that you have right now. If you are going to sacrifice that community to succeed on another game, #1, you're probably hurting your community right now as a whole, and you're probably going to have a hard time switching over to that other game. Like,
exactly.
Because YouTube looks at it as a negative, because not everyone from your community is going to follow you there.
That makes sense. And a question for you would be, you said that community is more important.
Yeah.
Is it acceptable for new streamers to continuously have to change and rebuild a community instead of building a stable community that sticks with them throughout every game they play?
It's really difficult because on YouTube, the feature set is not necessarily designed for community growth. And the streamer has to make the effort to do the extra thing here and there and be a certain way to actually build the community. So, I mean, it's just part of the lack of features and the maybe not the knowledge of having to build the community. Because like some of these channels are blowing up in the first 6 months, let's say, and they're fresh streamers, they've never streamed before. Maybe they don't know that that's what you need to do to have longevity as a channel. Maybe they don't know that that's part of streaming in general. It's not about the concurrents always, because those currents come and go. It's when you're at the low point, you need those people who support you no matter what you play or no matter how hype a game is, because they are going to be the ones that carry you through to the next hype game, basically, that clicks with your channel. That's literally what it is. But they don't know that because they just blew up out of nowhere, and they're not aware necessarily that building a community is how you succeed long term in streaming.
So would you say that YouTube is not doing a good enough job in the community building aspect?
Oh, okay. Keep going.
I was going to say, is YouTube not doing a good enough job in actually helping individuals build a community, but instead is trying to force the hype game for views alone?
It's an algorithm, dude. It's not a person. Like, it's literally a computer that decides, like, if they have more watch time because of this algorithm change, boom, that's what they're going to do. And that doesn't matter if it destroys channels. It does it every day. Like, if we were talking about VOD channels out there, there's every day YouTube makes, like, algorithm makes decisions that make or break channels. And some channels blow up and some channels die. But that is completely different than live streaming, because, like, live streaming and a channel is I think then VOD channels are very different, and they don't treat them differently, I don't think, or they don't treat them differently enough.
Okay. Well, that's all I had to say about that. So thank you for letting me talk.
For sure, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Builders are great.
Anyone else want to say something?
I could say a little bit.
Sure.
Hey guys, Magic Martha. Well, I personally don't play a lot of Fortnite on my channel. But I mean, when I do, I seem to have about the same people I normally have. I don't really get a lot of growth out of it. I guess I'm like an average player at it, but I mean, Fortnite to me has done nothing for my channel. Literally nothing. I've gotten next to the same amount of views or less if I play Fortnite compared to any other game that I play normally.
What did you start playing with?
I mean, I started with PUBG back in December, and we're here. I switched to a bit of Fortnite come like February-ish, around there. And I had the same people. I had like the same community, which is a good thing that I had those people, but it's
How long have you been streaming for?
Like 4 months, 5 months.
Yeah, see, you have to like get that algorithm up for you before they start recommending you out. And the more that you change, the more or less the algorithm works against you. So like, let's say that you did Fortnite. By the way, it's Taco Fist there. But let's say that you did, let's say that you did Fortnite every day for 6 months. You would probably grow really fast, but then the moment you tried to switch to something else, you'd have like a mass exodus of your channel. Because a lot of them are younger kids, and they're like, "Oh, this isn't Fortnite. I don't want this," and then they leave.
Yep. And I don't really want that. I want the good community there. I just want to play what I enjoy. So.
I agree with you, and I think that sometimes it feels like you're trying to force the algorithm to do what you want it to do, and that's not how it works. And so, like, if you were playing a PUBG and your community does not like Fortnite, which literally seems to be the case, Fortnite and PUBG reminds me of Call of Duty and Battlefield 1. They don't like each other, and it's because one of them is super young. And not to say that there aren't older people. I saw a comment in chat that someone's like an older person, they like Fortnite. Hey, look, nothing wrong with that. And there are people who are older that like Fortnite. I'm not saying that the entire community is young, but definitely the majority. And there's a clashing there between Fortnite and PUBG, and I think it's because they're the two most popular BRs right now, and that is always how it will be. You know, until there's always this, oh, Fortnite's better, PUBG's better. That reminds me of Call of Duty is better and Battlefield 1 is better. And when I stopped playing, so to give you an example, I was playing Battlefield 1 and the new Call of Duty came out and I refused to play it. Because I felt like if I played Call of Duty, I would be hurting my channel. And I refused to play it because, you know, it felt like that game and that community would be a negative impact on my channel. And I slowly felt like as I was playing Fortnite that it was the exact same thing. It was the same thing as playing Call of Duty. And that's just my experience, just my own observation. I don't know if I can't tell you if I'm correct or not, but these are just feelings and observations that I have. And this is part of the reason why I do these things, is because I feel like there's not necessarily a lot of discussion about this. There should be more discussion about this stuff, especially if, you know, YouTube wants to be a driving force in live streaming, because live streaming trends and fads is not live streaming to me. Live streaming is about community and community building. And if it's all about trends and it's all about fads, YouTube's gonna, you know, basically, to me, it feels like there's blowing up channels without any other thought behind it. It's just blowing up channels, and then what happens next? And no one's talking about that. And that's kind of, that's what worries me, is that these people are literally blowing up their channel, making tons of money, going to buy fucking Lambos, and then when Fortnite comes and like starts to die, like, think about these people's lives. I feel like it is the same thing. Like, I remember PewDiePie even made a comment about it once, when like they made a change in the algorithm and everyone's views, like the older, you know, bigger channels back in the day, were getting hit really hard. And he was like, people who just bought a Lambo are like sweating. And it feels like that is the same thing that's happening now with Fortnite and live streams. And so that is something that I think that is important to talk about, because this is people's these are people's lives. And when you're live streaming and you're doing really well, you don't ever imagine that it's not going to be doing as well. You don't think like that. Most people do not think like that. And unfortunately, when that bad time comes, most people aren't ready to deal with it emotionally, and also not ready to deal with it financially. So it's a scary thing, and that's part of the reason why I'd wanted to talk about this, because it's about, it's about people, and it's about live streaming, it's about community, it's about YouTube, and I love YouTube. YouTube is a great platform, and I know I'm ragging on it, but like, not because I'm mad, more because I care and I want it to be better, and I know it can be better, and so that's why I have like this passion about it. And yeah, I don't know. Pretty much that.
Can you guys hear me?
I hear you, brother.
Yeah. Hey, I have some thoughts. So this is Mustard Plays, and I'm guilty of the Fortnite constant playing, as some of you may know.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard this discussion before, and not on YouTube. I've heard this discussion many times with Twitch streamers who struggle with building communities either around a game or around themselves, right? So it's either, they play Fortnite or Call of Duty or Battlefield or Halo or whatever it is forever, and then that game, either the hype dies off, or they are just tired of playing the same game over and over, and they switch games and their audience leaves. And so it's a very similar, they face similar problems on Twitch that YouTubers are seeing right now with Fortnite or whatever the game is. I mean, it was PUBG, right? And anyone who was playing H1Z1, and didn't switch got hurt by the PUBG success, and now it's Fortnite or whatever, and whatever's next, I don't know what's next. And I think the problem with YouTube versus Twitch, and what we're seeing, is that YouTube, Twitch is still such a small community compared to YouTube.
Wait, you mean the other way around?
No,
YouTube's small to
Twitch? For streaming, yes, Twitch is bigger, but YouTube in general is bigger. And so what's happening right now is you're seeing, the hundreds of millions of users of YouTube are starting to just discover streaming for the first time, because it's on their recommended list, because they search for Fortnite and now they see Avery streaming or High Distortion or whoever, these Fortnite people, Ali A or whatever, decides to stream or whatever, and they blow up because they're getting recommended versus on, Twitch, the people aren't growing as fast because there is no recommended. There is no like huge base that doesn't know about streaming. It is built for streaming. That's Twitch is built for streaming.
Right.
Versus YouTube is built for, it has been built off of VODs for years and years, and now people are starting to discover streaming, and they're blowing up. And I mean, I agree with everything that's been said. Actually, I mean, it's. I think the problem is now we're seeing just a larger scale example of of the problem of the single game streamer or creator. I should even say just the single game creator, and they're gonna blow up. And then what happens when Fortnite dies off, right? I mean, I had the same problem with I streamed Breath of the Wild, Zelda, for 2 months straight and grew. And as soon as I got tired of playing that, like my audience left, right? And so it was, and it's not going to be any different with any other game, right? If all of a sudden you're just like, I'm not going to play PUBG at all anymore, you're going to lose some of that audience, and or a lot of that audience. And I think it's just, this isn't an uncommon problem. It's just we're seeing it on a much bigger scale now, because Fortnite is, 5 times more popular than any other game out there.
Yeah.
And people are like, if you go on Google Trends and search Fortnite versus any other game, because you can throw out any other game's name, Minecraft, it's 5 times more popular than Minecraft or PUBG, or, and I shouldn't say popular, I should just say it's searched that many more times than anything else. And so, and that's going to die off at some point.
And anyone can go look at that, by the way, on the Google's Trends page. If you just go to Google Trend and you put in Fortnite and you put in PUBG or you put in Minecraft, it'll show you relevant, like you can even choose YouTube, worldwide, America, Google searches, and you could see the success and explosion of the game. So that's what he's referring to.
Yeah. And so I think, and I always look at that whenever I'm about to play a game. I always compare it against other games and see, is it being searched or whatever? And if not, I mean, and even with Fortnite, it's still hard. I mean, I play Fortnite every day and I've been growing a lot, but it's not from streaming. I've had some VODs that have really taken off, and that's helped my streaming, and it's gone back and forth. And I mean, I don't have millions of subscribers now. I mean, I've grown in this last few months, but it's a struggle no matter what you're doing. And so I don't think that YouTube is necessarily the problem here. I think it's just this idea of people, are they watching you? Are they watching the game? Or, or it's usually what I think is a combination of that, is they're watching you and the game, but, a bigger percentage of what they're watching is the game. And even then, with Battle Royales, especially, you see this a lot. When you're done a game, even if you've won it or if you've lost it, you lose. Every time
you lose a significant amount.
30% of my audience or more.
Mm-hmm.
And then it builds up through the next game. And if I lose a lot, then it's like I lose a lot of my audience.
Right.
And it's the same thing. I think it's the same thing with anything. People lose interest and they move on to the next thing or the next streamer or the next game.
But there's something to be said about how many eyeballs overall. And I mean, if you look at YouTube Gaming, they will not tell you how many viewers are watching. They'll tell you how many people are streaming.
Yeah.
They do not tell you how many people are watching. And I think that's on purpose. And a conscious decision to do that. And like I said, why is it that, like, if you're on Twitch, if you manage to get in the top 5, you manage to get in the top 10, or you manage to get number 1 in a category, you will see a significant boost on your stream. That does not happen on YouTube Gaming. It does not happen. And that's because they do not have enough people going to a landing page to browse, to hang out. Like, when you click on Twitch, you go to the landing page, you see all the games, you can browse through the game, see what's there. If you want to check something different. YouTube, it's like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like you just open up YouTube and then it's like the browse page says, click on these thumbnails.
Oh, I agree with that. Well, no, I think YouTube Gaming, like the website, is a mess. I mean, it's a complete mess. because I don't think I think 90% of the audience or more is just going to the youtube.com. They're not going to gaming.youtube.com
Absolutely.
or whatever. And so that's where all the traffic is. And that's why I think some of these people have huge audiences, because they're not people that are watching streamers. This is their first introduction to streamers. I've had so many people come into my stream saying, this is the first stream I've ever watched. And it's like, oh, well, that's cool. A lot of people don't even know it's live sometimes. They're like, whoa, I didn't realize this was live. I thought this was a VOD. And so I do think it's good for streaming that people are being introduced. There's a lot of new people being introduced to streaming. And once Fortnite is done, they're going to be like, oh, I do want to go watch whatever game I'm interested in right now and see the live stuff. And so I think for that it's good, but I 100% agree with you that I wish, gaming.youtube.com was updated, because it is a mess. I hate navigating it myself. I prefer watching streams on YouTube Gaming, but I hate navigating YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. I usually just go to people I'm sub to and click on their names. But scroll, exactly. The app and the website are not the greatest, and can be a little confusing. And so I don't know. That's basically where I'm at with this whole thing. And I don't think that it should be that you can only play one game to grow your channel. Like, there are people on Twitch who are doing really well growing with PUBG. The game still has interest. The game still has growth. It still exists, but it doesn't feel like it really exists on YouTube anymore. Like, maybe for a small select few, but like, it doesn't feel like it exists as much as it used to. And it should have more, it shouldn't be like one game. One game is the end all of success on a platform.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's what it is. But anyone else want to say anything else, or else I'm gonna... Hello?
Obviously you can tell I'm a kid, but earlier you're talking about how the main Fortnite community is children.
Yes.
So I thought I could give it.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, my name's Camlaugh. I'm friends with Magic and Stellar.
Awesome. Go ahead.
Anyways, I started streaming PUBG, and like it was it was good. I was making a good amount of views, but as soon as I streamed Fortnite, like within the first month, my sub count tripled. But then when I tried to go back to PUBG, I lost over half my viewers, and I feel like it's more just people are coming for the game and not actually for the streamer.
Right. Well, this is part of like what we were saying, is just the younger audience tends to do that. I'm not saying that doesn't happen on PUBG as well, but what happened to you basically is what I'm talking about, is like it's very difficult on YouTube to swap between games. And that's the thing, is like, instead of I know shouldn't say the word punishing, but instead of hurting a channel by not sending as many people to it because the response from the subscribers was less than adequate for the algorithm, then like it should think about, oh, this many people actually did go over. Oh, that's a positive thing about it, that, changing games is technically like a I don't know how to describe it, but like going against the grain. So if you're going against the grain but having a positive, even though it's less than your normal, but you're still getting people to go there, it should look at that as some sort of a positive they can take away from that, instead of just a whole negative where, like you said, you went from Fortnite to PUBG and all the people who wanted to only watch Fortnite are gone. But you still have some loyals that stayed. Why should you not get, the same amount of viewership through YouTube's recommendation afterwards? That's my concern. But thank you for your input. Appreciate that.
Streaming in Fortnite is not anything that's terrible, though. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of negativity towards people. Like, streaming Fortnite isn't... There's some definitely positive things besides your sub count that could happen through Fortnite, which is what I've been looking at personally, and that is collabs with other streamers who you never play with because they don't play PUBG or the game you play.
Yeah.
Getting into their community, those people might watch PUBG, right? Or they might like other battle royals, just happen to be there. You're pulling people to your channel as well, and also you're making friendships with other streamers who you might have never had before, and you have a potential chance when another game comes out to do another collab with them and even do even better with them, and also gaining friends and networking through those people. Yes, there's a whole bunch of people streaming Fortnite, and a lot of them are going for success of getting a giant sub count. But there's also another thing behind that where streamers also collabing with each other 10 times more than anybody's ever done with PUBG or anything else. There's everybody and their moms plays that game. You have 10 times more possibility of making a network than you do right now with a PUBG that doesn't do shit for anybody. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the thing is, so look, let's just go with like a hypothetical here. Cam just said that he's streaming Fortnite and he wanted to go and play PUBG, and his shit dropped down. His concurrence dropped down to half of what he was used to, or his views. So let's say, for instance, someone starts to switch to YouTube, to Fortnite, and then they keep going back and forth between, like what you're trying to do, back and forth between PUBG and Fortnite. And like, what if it negatively impacts your PUBG stream? And then when you keep going back and forth, it's like a negative, it's like you get less on your PUBG streams, and then you get like more on your Fortnite streams, and all of a sudden it's like, why would you even keep going back to PUBG? Eventually you'll stop going back to PUBG, right?
Well, it comes down to happiness, to be honest, right? So when everyone got into streaming for, because they love video games and because they also want to be successful, but also if you build up a proper community, right? I'm not looking at
as much as your community comment, and I agree with you. I agree with you. Community is so important, but there's still people who won't watch. They won't.
Granted,
like,
okay, cool, yeah, but everything. But like, do you get paid by? Oh, you might get paid by YouTube, but I certainly don't get paid by YouTube that much to how many views I get on a video. That is, be honest. At the end of the day, YouTube's not keeping me, at a steady time where I could do this full time.
Right.
So if I could collab with other people, and yeah, my views go down, but I know for a fact my community is going to be there right behind me. And if they start telling me negative things that they don't like it or whatever, like, then you start making adjustments. But I think that streaming a video game here and there, just to get into a different section of where now you're just, in PUBG, you're just sitting there in your own stool, just like waiting for someone to come by to clean you up. And it's not healthy. Playing
in your own shit, you mean?
Not healthy. Yeah, because you're just sitting there. You're playing a game. You're unhappy. Like with the updates and stuff that come out, they're cool. But you're playing a game that's desynced, very laggy. A lot of times, people just are wicked salty playing at the end of the day. I know myself. At the end of the day, sometimes I'm like, why did I just play this game? Like nothing nothing happened. Like, so why not just at this time where everything's so stale and no one's technically growing, why not try different things, collab with other people, even if it might not be the game that you're comfortable with, right? But your community is going to be there for you. I know my community is going to be there for me. I'm not going to a full Fortnite channel. I'm playing other games. I'm trying to put my feelers out there right now, because right now PUBG doesn't do anything for me. It's not growing my channel. I'm not a giant big streamer making I don't have 200,000 in 6 months or anything like that, but right. I am able to do this full time because of my community, and that's the community I built from playing Battlefield, playing PUBG, playing Long Dark, playing a whole bunch of other games. Like, those people are there for me, and they're willing to help me continue my career of being a full-time streamer, and they're willing to wait out a day or two here and there to try to give it a go, and then you communicate with them and see how they're doing. But I don't think that, like, if you just play Fortnite and you just stop playing PUBG, of course everyone's gonna leave. But I do think that people are willing to take a break from a game that is very laggy and very unpleasant to play at certain days, where they could tell in your face and in your chemistry that you're not happy playing it. So I think taking a break also is another very important thing. Clearing your mind from that one video game and stop getting in such a rut where you feel like you have to play a video game, because right now is a good time to feel out, like, what you could do, what else, like, who else you could play with.
But the thing is, I'm not saying for people not to play Fortnite. That isn't like the point of this. The point of this is to bring up the negative effects that Fortnite has had on streaming, in that sense. Like
which I get, but you could also, with everything, I always try to look at with everything that is really negative. I always try to look at the benefits of everything, and to be able to find a way to, you know, get your foot in the door with other streamers who you might not ever met before or ever play with, I think is a giant plus to your channel. I love collabing with people and stuff like that, and I've met people who do play Fortnite who are very successful with it, and I talk to them every single day, and I play with them every once in a while. But you know, I've developed friendship of other streamers that I would have never, if they didn't blow up with Fortnite and they're on the verge of quitting, you know, I wouldn't ever had like some awesome friendships, and also like, you know, positive like talks about how it is affecting, like, so they're kind of like a guinea pig, you know, so you can learn off of them what affects them and how what they wish would change that they don't tell everyone else. Does that make sense?
Well, so, I mean, the thing is, like, being a variety streamer is really hard. It's hard for growth as well because of YouTube's algorithm, and also the fact that like the people that are your community still, like, they still, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll get the same numbers in this different game you play, regardless of how tight knit the community is. It's like, it's tough. And like what I'm getting at is that a lot of people fall into this trap of like the numbers game, and like when Fortnite does so well compared to what they were doing, they just stay focused on Fortnite. And in reality, like, it's not necessarily a bad thing to do when it comes to certain games. What I'm getting at is that, like, if the audience clashes with what you're doing, it's basically like rebuilding a community, and it can be like, it could be dangerous, and it could be like, obviously what I'm saying is when you switch all of your stuff, and like a lot of people do that. I'm not saying you're going to do that, and this isn't specifically directed at you. It's more like what I've seen on the platform. Like, most people are literally only playing Fortnite, you know, and they'll pepper in a game here and there, but those games obviously don't do as well as Fortnite, and their chats are full of like, play Fortnite, and it's just I don't know, it's kind of like a toxic thing. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't do what you say, what you're doing. What it's more about is like, why is it that it feels like growth on YouTube is very difficult unless you're playing that game? That was the basic concept of it. And like, why is it that YouTube doesn't pay attention to the community like you're talking about, and instead of hurting a channel, giving a positive, you know, more recommended, more suggested, based on the amount of people that follow you to a different game? Because that's a hard, against the grain move, and for most streamers. So, and I've seen it many times where a streamer is doing really well with a game, and they switch over to another game because they're tired, they don't like the shit that's going on, and they get punished. And not only like they get punished by the community, they get punished by YouTube. And then what do? They go back to the game they were just playing the day before. It's just how it is. And like, look, the desync in PUBG is very frustrating, and I complain about it a lot, but I still like the PUBG version of Battle Royale, realistic version of Battle Royale, versus Fortnite, which I still also like, but it's just different, and I prefer the more realistic version. And that's why I think that people who switched from H1Z1 to PUBG actually did really well, because it's more of an adult-ish game compared to Fortnite. So that's it. I mean, I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm just trying to bring up discussions, trying to see what people think, trying to hear what people's perspective. And I appreciate your perspective, trying to look at the positive. And, you know, you should definitely, you know, do what you're saying and see how it goes. Like, you should not do something like that, because everyone is different. Every channel is different. But the problem is, like, if you go live tomorrow and you have 1,000 people watching you play Fortnite tomorrow, it is going to be really hard for you to go back the next day and play PUBG, and let's say to 150 or 200. Like, that is a difficult thing to do as a streamer. And I give props to anyone who can go and do that. And that's just what I've seen in almost every streamer that I've ever watched. And that also is, you know, myself included. It is very difficult. As much as you love a different game, if the numbers are bad, it's like YouTube is telling you something and your community is telling you something. That's all. I mean, I don't know. It's a scary thing because people get sucked into the concurrent, and it's just that's what drives them. And yeah, I still like PUBG. I'm saying I like the PUBG style. I do like it more. Anyways, thank you guys so much for taking part in this. Thank you. I feel like I'm gonna start repeating myself now, but I appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out for this. Thanks to Dojo as well for stopping by and putting in the time before his stream. He literally was late to his stream because of us. And yeah, and I appreciate the ability to do this and have a discussion like this on YouTube, and you guys coming out and hanging out. So appreciate you guys. Yeah, I'm gonna just jump out of the sponsor chat now, but thank you guys.
Thank you, Stat. Always. Thank you for having this. It needs to happen.
Later, man.
It needs to happen.
All right, later, guys. All right, guys. So yeah, basically that's gonna be it for today's streamer roundtable. I know we kind of pushed it to the last day of the month. That was partially because I had a shoulder injury and I was out of commission for the last week. But we are here now with this, and we're gonna be live again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Unless I post something saying that it will be different at a different time, but usually it's 10 a.m. Pacific. Thank you guys for honestly coming out to these and listening to these roundtables, because it's a lot of thoughts and discussions that we have with our friends behind the scenes that I want to bring out and talk to you guys about. But if you guys are new and you're watching this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I do live streams every day except for Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific. Appreciate all of you hanging on the chat. Don't forget to smash that like button, and I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. And yeah, if you guys want to leave your opinions about Fortnite and the effect it has on streaming and on YouTube, please leave a comment underneath the video once the video has gone onto the channel. Make sure to go drop a like there, and also leave that comment so that I can see some other perspectives of people who weren't able to jump into the sponsored chat to say stuff, but were more, you know, can write something underneath as a comment. So thank you guys. Have yourself a great day. Peace out, my friends. Have a good one.